What's going on, Badger Nation? And when I ask that, it is normally rhetorical. However, today I really am curious what is actually going on in the world, in your life. I hope you are safe. I hope you are healthy. And I hope you have found joy in the quarantine. Stephen, have you found joy in the quarantine?
I have in Super Smash Brothers.
Yes. Wait, what are you playing? You didn't tell me.
Oh yeah.
What are you playing on?
My roommate got a Switch. I don't have a Switch still. My roommate got one. So I was like, well, if he has one, I don't need one. So
are we gonna that me, you, Emma, our UX UI designer, Nick, our lead developer, we can all play online.
That's what the live stream should be for Facebook Live.
I've actually, believe it or not, I was going to tell you this before we started rolling. I think I want to start a Twitch channel.
Dude, you're going to be an influencer in every possible channel and industry.
Why not? Why not? I feel like I'm home anyway. I'm doing these things anyway. I'm reading a book. Boom. Read about it on my book review YouTube channel.
I want to see you live stream you reading a book.
Why not?
Seems fascinating. You sitting on a couch with a book. I could watch that for hours.
You're welcome. As a segue into it, this episode that we are talking about right here, right now, is going to be published on Wednesday the 8th. And we are going to be just on the tail end of doing some Facebook Lives. Hopefully you've seen in our free Facebook group, we've been doing some Facebook Lives over there. Going to be sort of branching out, playing with that new medium for us to play around with as a company. Really excited about that as things change so rapidly during this coronavirus. The podcast, I don't know if people know this, Stephen. People might not know this, but we put a lot of production effort into this here podcast. There are many moving parts to our podcast production procedure.
Right. Even a lot of prep time, and then even just we got a video developer or video editor, audio editor, content writers, a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. A lot of peeps. And anyway, what we wanted to do was give people a way to get information faster, easier, get it out there, especially during a time that we are in right now. So we started doing some lives. So we'll have all those recordings in our Facebook group and in our academy. But with that segue, we are going to be talking about a continuation of sort of, we're on episode 72 right now, a continuation of what we talked about in 71, which was a episode really about mindset, and episode 70, which started the conversation about what to do in your campaigns with potentially falling conversion rates. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different, but still definitely related. We're going to be talking about 4 big pieces of information and sort of give you our take on them. So these 4 pieces of information you may have heard in the news. And if you haven't, well, good news, you are here to get these. We're going to be giving you our take on it. And Stephen, what's your hot take on your Super Smash Brothers character of choice before we get into this?
King K. Rool, I think, is a funny character, and surprisingly, I do pretty well with him.
Whoa, there you go. Cool. So, Stephen, let's get to our very, very first point. So, Stephen, the first bit of news came out a little bit ago, which was that Amazon is going to be hiring 100,000 employees and giving all of their sort of logistics, meaning all the factory movers of things, $2 raise as well, drivers, fulfillers.
The other thing they're adding to that, which is kind of cool. Normally, after you work over 8 hours as an hourly worker, you get paid a time and a half up until the 12th hour, and then you get paid double time. But they're paying folks double time after the 8th hour, so people are able to collect more. They're getting a higher, base pay plus faster time to double time pay. So that's good, but the unfortunate thing is a lot of workers are unsatisfied because of the actual health and safety concerns that they have for working in these warehouses where there's a lot of people, a lot of products moving. Looks like you want to jump in there, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, you were about to say there's a lot of health, a lot of safety stuff going on. Were you about to mention like a potential like rumblings of Amazon fulfillers going on strike?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like that's even, I think I saw a news headline in Michigan. Workers were just like walking out of warehouses and just doing walkouts.
Yeah.
So that could be potentially problematic. Especially speaking of, there's kind of funny. There's a Amazon Prime delivery driver right outside my window dropping off a package. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot going on with this. Amazon's been partnering because they're short on workers. They're trying to hire 100,000 new employees. My roommate actually is he's an in-home behavioral therapist, and a lot of people don't want other people in their homes, especially if they have like older people in their family. So he's out of work, and so he's actually getting hired by Amazon to become one of their drivers. So we'll learn more about the inside business once he starts working there. But I also heard Amazon's partnering with Lyft, the ride-sharing app, because there's not a lot of people that are hailing cabs right now, and so those drivers are switching over to Amazon to help out driving for deliveries, and workers kind of threatening to go on strike nationwide.
For sure. I mean, it's so like, who's holding up the economy, right? Like, we in the Amazon ecosystem really, really are pushing, hoping that Amazon stays really strong throughout this, in the sense of people still have things that they need to buy. They might not be doing it in as big as numbers, but they are still buying non-essential things. And like, that is still, I just had a friend who's like, oh, I'm going to be in quarantine so long, let me go buy a guitar. I've always wanted to play guitar. And he bought a guitar. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's such an opportunity. People have not stopped buying things.
Right.
And yes, granted, a large amount of people are now out of work. There's still a large amount of people that are still working. And those people are going to be buying things. And even people out of work still have things to buy. So if we think of it this way, like, how does this all work? And it's like, you're only as strong as, your weakest link. And if this is the weak link that breaks, it's like the entire thing breaks down. We need these frontliners so I hope that they make some changes so that these people feel safe coming into work, and that they are able to do their job and do it well and do it safely. So fingers crossed. It does sound like Amazon is going to be trying to accommodate, with hiring more people, and giving those raises, making it easier to get the double time, like you mentioned. So fingers crossed. I hope that Amazon does the right thing and continues to be responsive if things change, continues to support in potentially new ways if the situation gets more dire.
Yeah. And they are, Amazon is taking a lot of really proper steps forward. If you guys want to read about it from Amazon's own kind of press release, you can check out blog.aboutamazon.com. And they call it their day one blog. And they'll talk a lot about stuff. So they've talked about changes they made to their logistics, transportation, supply chain, purchasing. They've got tons of hand sanitizer around the warehouses. They're, taking measures to make sure that employees are maintaining a safer distance from other coworkers. They're eliminating a lot of meetings and just making, bulletin announcements instead. They also require employees wash their hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after, going to the bathroom, blowing their nose, coughing, sneezing, anything like that. You've got to go wash your hands. So they're definitely taking steps forward, trying to keep healthy, a healthy workplace, safe workplace. And they are an essential business at this point because, without this, without this kind of delivery system, especially for groceries, um, people are going to run out of food or be forced to go into brick and mortars and have much more person to person contact.
It's like the railroad lines during like the Industrial Revolution that managed to move commerce from one part of America to another part. It's like now this is it. It's like, how do you get things to your house? Like we need that infrastructure. Yeah, let's move on to our second point, Stephen.
So on episode 70, we were talking about how is COVID-19 affecting your actual PPC campaigns specifically, and what steps or strategies should you take accordingly. And this episode's not going to be as much of a PPC focus, but more of a general sort of Amazon marketing approach and Amazon, just your own business. So one of the first and probably most important things to just really keep your mind on is your inventory management. As always, you want to keep an eye on your inventory, making sure you're sending shipments on time to Amazon so that they can have, a little bit of time to also disperse that to all their fulfillment centers. One of our clients, they had a product that was, out of stock. They shipped in more stock, and Amazon said, "Hey, we received the stock." And we unpaused the campaigns, or actually this was a new item. So we created a bunch of new campaigns. And one of the things I noticed is that the ads were already delivering. But if you click on the product page itself, it says temporarily out of stock, back in stock on April 10th. And this was on April 1st that we were looking at it. And so for folks who are trying to, purchase something and they see, oh man, this is out of stock for 10 days, your ad's still running, so they might still click on it, and then after seeing that, not buy it, so that could cause a dip in conversion rates. So we actually paused all of those campaigns until the 10th, and then we'll start them up again when everything's in stock, because it arrived in Amazon received the fulfillment or received the shipment, but they're still dispersing it to their fulfillment centers. So like in my location, it wasn't in stock yet. So that being said, keep a close eye on those on your inventory. Make sure it's well sustained. Make sure you're talking with your suppliers, keeping track of lead times. They may be having delays themselves. One strategy that's been pretty common for folks is diversifying their suppliers. That's actually one thing that that one gentleman in our forums, Mike, I think I saw you and him going back and forth. What was he saying about it? Because I think he sourced his parts from China.
Yeah. So essentially what he did was he diversified his suppliers, seeing it basically there's a hidden cost of risk if you think about it. So it's a great exercise in risk mitigation. So it's like if you have one supplier and you have all of your orders, all of your inventory go through them, you're probably going to be given a more favorable rate than if you cut that number in half. However, there's a risk associated with that, which is what is that cost of a risk if that one factory gets into trouble or if that one country shuts down. So essentially what he did was he found another supplier in another part of the world. And even though now he's getting slightly worse rates at his first factory, now all of a sudden he is diversified. So meaning things would have to get catastrophic at two factories in two parts of the world. So now he has built in some risk mitigation. So this was a really interesting strategy. I'd love to hear if others out there have done this. And after talking with him, I've talked to other people that all seem to share the same thing. Get those things. And he even got creative, for certain centers, he has closer for certain fulfillment centers, he has closer to a certain manufacturer now. So he got smart with how that inventory is getting moved around. And since then, I talked to a couple other people, and they have also diversified their suppliers. That seems like a pretty sharp move. And I think what's really interesting is that what this crisis has done, including our own business, Stephen, is it's really highlighted the cracks the things that you just sort of let go by for too long, like now all of a sudden, now it's like a huge deal. Now, like every single shortcoming that you have in your company, risk mitigation, not diversifying suppliers, all these different things, it becomes exacerbated. And it's like, should have taken care of it. We talked about this in your PPC campaigns. So it's like when things get pressed and like things get under pressure, they can either break or they can, thrive. We talked about, I think we mentioned maybe Anti-Fragile, great book by Nassim Taleb. These sort of black swan or gray swan events where it's like there's a whole bunch of chaos. Like, are we ready to like survive, or can we potentially even thrive? So I think our chat tool that we were using on our site, we're going to be upgrading to another one because we realized we weren't getting maybe the best deal on it. And the new one that we're going to be using, we can actually provide better support faster, in a way that's easier for us and more accessible to customers, and provide an even richer experience. We sat on this for a long time because most companies are coming out of their best Q4 and what would have been their best Q1 of the potentially ever. And now all of a sudden we got hit with this, we got sidelined, and now all these things are much more important. So diversifying suppliers, not a bad idea.
And so that brings us to the third part of this episode, what you want to actually keep your eye on with your Amazon campaigns. So the other thing you want to keep an eye on is your actual product listings themselves. You may want to just make sure that everything is really optimized and ideal for both SEO and conversion rate optimization. And that's going to be because so many more people are moving their shopping traffic to Amazon. You just really want to be ready to capture all that traffic. It's going to get a lot more competitive. But in your product listing optimization, there are a few things to basically keep an eye on. Number one is don't be that guy who raises his price on essential items or high in demand items. Price gouging is, first of all, illegal. Second of all, very deeply frowned upon. And third, Amazon will actually take the buy box from you if they're sensing price, if their algorithm senses significant price increases on essential items, they will actually take the buy box from you.
Potentially suspend you.
Yes, you could even be suspended as a seller. And yeah, so just don't do that. Another thing is you don't want to mention coronavirus in your listing at all. If you do, that is an instant product suspension. So you can't say anything about look at this. I got these little airborne vitamin C's on my desk. Yep. If I was selling this on Amazon and I said, hey, like boost your immune system to help defend against coronavirus, instant suspension on the product.
Yep. So
don't do that. And don't even be like overly sensational with your listings by, talking about, this will completely cure you of the flu or any sicknesses or, absolute protection against, anything like any of that sort of stuff, you will get banned. So don't do it.
Mm-hmm. It's even possible. There's a good argument for if you can, there might even be a good argument for lowering your prices a bit. People maybe have less money if your product is traditionally bought by people that may have just been let go of a position, restaurant workers, anyone that works like in person. It's like a huge percentage of the population. They probably were just laid off. It might be of your benefit to actually lower prices. So again, that's just food for thought. Obviously that's super duper dependent on anything, but yeah, just be good with your product listings. Don't be a jerk. Steven, I actually commend our audience because I feel like if people are the type of persons to do price gouging, I doubt they're listening to the show because we are not generally advocates of unethical black hat things. So again, just wanted to share it here in case you had that inclination. Because you may even have it for innocent reasons. Like, hey, my inventory is running out faster than I can fill it. I'm going to increase my price to reduce my sales velocity, which is pretty common. It's like, oh, I'm getting too many sales. I don't have enough inventory. I'm going to run out. I don't want to run out. I'm going to extend my inventory. So let me go ahead and increase my pricing. That strategy, you still want to be careful. You don't want to be accused of price gouging. So be cautious when you do things like that. Anything else to say about product listings?
I think that covers it.
Cool. Let's move on to the last point. And yes, this is a big one. Point number 4, consider switching to FBM. Stephen, there are not many gurus out there that talk about start your own Amazon FBM business. It's definitely not as hot of a topic as FBA. So FBM, fulfillment by mom, sending it to your mom, having her ship it. Not a bad strategy. Free work, free labor. She's got nothing to do now. Maybe she's got to stay inside. No, fulfillment by merchant. Consider switching to it. ... Question mark. So Stephen, it was crazy. One day, randomly, ship times for almost everything other than non-essentials seemed like ship dates got a month out. So what happens?
Other than essentials.
Other than essentials.
Yeah, you said non-essentials.
I said other than non-essentials.
Not all the non-essentials were pushed back by a month.
The English language is very complicated. What I was going to say was ship dates. They all said a month away. People are like, "What is going on? I'm not going to buy anything. I don't have that time to waste." Then they started clicking around. Yeah. Then they realized some products didn't say a month ship date. I'm going to go buy from them. It seemed to be so random and so weird the way that it was rolled out. People definitely scaled back their buying. Then it seemed to be getting back to normal. So I hope that consumers out there are retrained that it will not actually take a month, that they can buy things and it might take longer. And this time frame between what it normally takes and the couple extra days that it currently takes is where this discussion of FBA versus FBM comes into play.
And Amazon did add a banner at the top of their page when you're shopping around that says we are prioritizing, essential goods such as, groceries and stuff like that. So some deliveries may take longer than usual. So they do have that banner that I think help people think, okay, so when they're looking at something that says it's a 30 days out, they'll be like, well, if I wait 7 days to buy it, it'll probably still be 30 days out. So if I order it sooner, it'll still probably get here sooner. So things still did start going up. But I was talking with one of our Amazon reps about this because we have a client with a product, which is a supplement, which could be considered essential, or, it's kind of on the edge depending on what the supplement is, but they were flagged as non-essential. So their ship date was postponed. A competitor who sells the exact same product somehow got listed as essential. And it's the exact same product. One's essential, one is non-essential. And so I talked with the rep. I was like, hey, can we fix this? Or at least take the competitor off so that we're not falling behind them. And he said that basically when they were in the meeting and when he was in a meeting and they were kind of explaining everything how this was going to be rolled out with the essential, non-essential, categorization, he said he thought instantly like, this is not going to go over well. We're doing this very hastily. And it was a very quick algorithm that they put together and didn't put a ton of engineering into it because they didn't really care that much because it's basically just like a Band-Aid. It's not supposed to be a long-term thing. It's just a short-term, like bandage to kind of help get essential items like carrots out faster, ones that are super obvious. But basically it wasn't a perfect system of dividing non-essential versus essential. So a lot of essential items got flagged as non-essential and a lot of non-essential items got, categorized as essential. And the rep told me, don't even bother writing to seller support and trying to fix this. They don't care. They have so many other things on their plate right now. And because this is just like, at least Amazon's saying that things will go back to normal, I think, by like mid-April. And so they don't really care to try to fix these things. So if you got flagged as non-essential, just hold out. By mid-April, delivery days should go back to normal. But in the meantime, you can consider switching to fulfilled by merchant, which basically means you take care of the shipping costs and getting it to the customer on time. What we normally recommend to folks anyways is to have two different SKUs, one FBA SKU, one FBM SKU. The FBA SKU will usually win the buy box like 99% of the time. But if you ever run out of Amazon inventory, your product won't say out of stock. Instead, it'll just say like shipped by and then your merchant name. And so you can still continue to sell. That's what we've been pushing one of our clients to do because their Amazon sales have plummeted, but their Shopify store sales have gone through the roof because they're able to, deliver a faster delivery time than Amazon right now. And they are currently they don't have an FBM SKU, but they're going to be setting one up to take advantage of faster delivery times on Amazon.
And our friend of the show, Kiri Masters, I was reading some of the things that she put out. And anecdotally, I don't know officially, but it does look like FBM SKUs can win the buy box potentially if it has a faster ship date than the FBA SKU. I haven't seen that officially confirmed by Amazon, but I wouldn't have expected it to during this time. That being said, it does look like the FBM SKU in certain cases is actually winning the buy box because of a faster ship time. Of course, then you have to do it. Then you actually have to get it shipped somehow, other than Amazon FBA, which is pretty nice and easy.
Yeah, you don't want to be slow on your own, fulfillment time, or else you'll get kind of negative points on your seller record.
Yeah. Again, another sort of to throw it back to the inventory management, fulfillment management. There are fulfillment centers in the US, around the world, that are not owned by Amazon. And it's funny, I've seen some that actually use like Amazon logistics. So like it uses Amazon technology, but it's not an Amazon FBA. It's owned by another company. So there are other fulfillment centers, and depending on the scale, you may or may not have to get creative with it. Potentially, hey, employees, you all work from home now. You'll all be helping, box and ship. Or depending on your size and scale, you may have different solutions for that. But definitely an interesting time. And having FBM in your back pocket for times like this, being able to switch here and there, save some on shipping. Yeah, potentially not a bad idea to start exploring for your business. My wish for everyone out there listening is that we use this opportunity to come out sharper leaders in our companies than we have when this thing started. So again, there's never been a time where making these decisions, analyzing them for your company, taking quick action on it, has never been valued, especially at a time like this when days matter or hours matter. It's all worth it. So definitely worth exploring these 4 things. And let's move on to a quick recap of this episode. Alrighty, Stephen, we covered 4 things about how Amazon's trying to make some augmentations to its fulfillment team. It's important to have super strong inventory management. Be careful with your product listings and consider augmenting your own fulfillment with FBM and taking some away from FBA. So pretty interesting time as it continues. Like I mentioned, we're going to be doing some lives. Currently it's on Facebook Live. We may extend that out to some other platforms too in the coming days. This was a general observation episode of things going on during COVID-19. Any parting thoughts or things that we didn't necessarily get a chance to mention, but you still think people should be aware of, and things that we'll sort of talk about in the coming days on our live or anything like that, Stephen?
Yeah. Combining episode 70 with 72, so the one that was more about PPC with the one on episode 72. I think that covers it. There's definitely some other stuff I could say, about running Google Ads traffic to your Amazon store, but that's probably another episode, so we won't dive into that now.
Mm-hmm. So if you are out there listening, do feel free to contact us. Let us know what the biggest issues that are happening for you and your company right now. adbadger.com/contact is a great place to reach us. You can also leave us a voicemail, adbadger.com/voicemail. You can even leave us a message on any page on our website. We have a little bubble in the bottom right where you can send us a message. We are here for you. A lot of activity going on in our Facebook group. I've got a couple hundred Amazon marketers and Amazon leaders. So definitely join the conversation. We are here and we are here to help. Have a good one. You want to try to finish this episode synced up, Stephen? You want to say the outro together?
See you next time in the Badger Den. Or we'll see you in the Badger Den.
Pause. You got to pause after the U inside the Badger Den. Are you ready for this? Have you ever done this before?
Never.
Are you excited?
Yeah. Are we currently? Is this also going to be recorded, or are we cutting this part out?
No, this is recorded right here, right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. And
we'll
I'll see
you inside
the
Badger Den.
That's it.